Welcome to the Leaderish Podcast with your hosts, Regina and Doris.
Hey, Doris. How's it going?
Hey, Regina. I'm very well. How are you?
I am doing great. I have been doing lots of really great work. So I've been really busy with a lot of things, and I've been leveraging some of our conversations that we've had over the last few months a lot recently. And it's really helping me to prioritize, make sure that I time box, and get the right things done at the right time. So I'm on cloud nine right now, just still absorbing and using the work that we've shared out to everyone else.
Yeah, I know some of the work that you're doing, and I can imagine that you've got a lot of noise around you. And I know that the last episode we talked about was getting rid of some of that noise. So I'm super excited to know that you're utilizing some of the stuff that we both talked about. And I know some of the work that you've been doing in the last decades, it's really coming forward in terms of the work you're doing today.
That's right. Thank you. How's everything going with you?
Very well. I went to a couple of conferences, met some new people, that whole networking that I love
Yep.
to do, and trying to be a lot more strategic about the people that I'm adding to my network and asking for additional connections. I think there's a lot of strategic work that can be done in that so that you meet the right people to
Mhm.
help you grow and be a little bit more successful in your career.
I love it. Yeah, I agree. And that kind of leads us a little bit into our conversation today, which I'm really excited about because I don't know much about it. And you put forward this whole topic of creating a success list. And I'm excited to dig into that.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for saying yes to this topic because I think it's a great topic and I love talking about it. And I think it's really important, regardless of where you are in your career, whether you're an individual contributor or a leader or in the C suite. I think this is something that you can use for yourself. And it's also something that you can talk about with your team to try to help build them and build their success list as they move forward and they figure out what they want to do with their careers.
Okay, so what is this? What is this success list that you are like hyping up?
So the success list, it's a little bit different than a to-do list. So you have these two things, and hopefully we're all creating to-do lists. We've got very tactile tasks that we have to do on a weekly or a daily basis. But if we think about where our future lies, so where do we see ourselves in 1 year, 3 year, 5 years? Where do we want to be? What do we want to be when we grow up? Put that mentality. No one's probably asked you that since you were 8 years old, but let's just put that hat back on and think about what do you want to do when you grow up? And by growing up, that might be 5 years from now. And what are some gaps that you have today? And maybe you don't know those. Maybe you need to talk to some other people on what those gaps are, but figure out what do you want to be? Maybe it's CEO of your organization. Or maybe today you are working in a tech industry, but really you want to be an author of a book and you're thinking about what success looks like. What are some of the things you need to do over the course of the next 1, 3, or 5 years in order to accomplish that dream that you've set for yourself?
So it's like a long-term to-do list as opposed to your to-do today list.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhere in between a to-do list and a bucket list, it seems like. These are things that you aspire to do and you want to keep them in front of your mind so you can take those opportunities when they come in front of you. But I'm
Mm-hmm.
assuming that there's also probably a little planning that comes into this. So it's not just, oh, the opportunity was presented to me, but instead, how do I go find that opportunity?
Yes, exactly. And let me give you a couple of examples. So, examples might be getting your college degree. And maybe you're not someone that got your college degree when you were 18 and you're now thinking about it. Or maybe you took a couple of classes at a community college and now you're in your 30s or 40s or 50s and thinking, gosh, I really need to get my bachelor's degree. Or maybe you've gotten the bachelor's and I really want to get my master's degree. And that is your, what you said, bucket list.
Yeah.
That's out there. I know that I can do that. and you set that timeline. Maybe it's 2 years from now. All right, I want to get my master's degree. I know I can do it in 2 years. And then figure out what classes you need to take to graduate with that master's degree. Or it might be a certification. So you and I are both coaches. When I decided to go into coaching, I needed to get a certification. So I set that as a goal. I put it on the calendar, scheduled it, and then finished that course and started coaching. And now I'm a certified business coach. So those are just a couple of quick examples of things that we can put out there on a long term. Like you said, it's still a to-do list, because if I'm trying to get my master's degree, that class that I'm taking or that homework that I need to finish, that's going to be on that short-term to-do list. But it helps fill the gap to achieve that long-term goal that I've set for myself.
Yeah, I love that. And it reminded me of wanting to start my own business. So I decided that it was something that I wanted to do probably about 5 to 6 years ago. And I wish I had a success list back then, because I probably would have been more strategic about it. And I had things that I wanted to do, wanted to learn, and wanted to accomplish before I could start my own business. One was deeply lead a talent management team. I'd done talent management for years, but I wanted to deeply lead a talent management team for a large organization. Also, I wanted to obtain my coaching certification through the International Coaching Federation. And I wanted to get just a little bit more experience as a higher level leader at the director level. While I didn't plan those things perfectly, they did happen, but this is more of a, ooh, the opportunity presented itself. I'll take it. I wish that I had been a little bit more strategic. Maybe that 5 year vision that I had could have actually been a 2 or 3 year plan.
Yeah, but the point is, though, that you were successful. You may not have had that success list 5 years ago, but I bet when that first opportunity presented itself and you took advantage of that opportunity, all of a sudden that kind of triggered a soft scale success list in your mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think
And
so.
you began the reality. So the dream happened 5 years ago, and I'm making up dates here.
Yeah.
So the dream happened 5 years ago, and maybe 3 years ago, the first opportunity presented itself. And you took advantage of the opportunity, you succeeded, and that started really creating more buzz in your brain that
Mm-hmm.
said, that is a reality. What I thought about 2 years ago is a little closer today than I thought it could be. And then
Right.
you started finding those opportunities. So maybe the opportunities didn't present themselves. Is it possible that you found those opportunities more readily because you were in a place where you were looking for those opportunities rather than
Mm-hmm.
just happenstance? You were looking for them because you knew there was a dream at the end.
Yeah, and maybe more subconsciously than
Mm-hmm.
actually consciously. But yes, if I didn't have the vision, if I didn't have the goal, if I didn't see myself in this spot in a number of years, I probably would not have gone after the things that I needed to do to get there.
Yeah, but you did. And you've now been on your own for over a year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I actually started my business 18 months ago, but I didn't leave my corporate job. I had some big things that I wanted to finish for them.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't leave my corporate job until almost exactly a year ago.
Happy anniversary.
Thank you. Wouldn't change it for the world. I love it.
And that's the other thing. You need to be very flexible on your success list because life happens, things change, and the goals that you set yourself, maybe you set a 5 year goal, and that might need to move to maybe a year from today. It's still a 5 year goal, which is okay. You need to be flexible about it.
Yeah.
And you also need to be open to those opportunities. And it didn't exactly work out how you thought it was going to 5 years ago. But like you said, you wouldn't change it for the world. I'm a big believer in you are exactly where you need to be. And all of those opportunities happened at exactly the right time for you to find them, discover them, take advantage of them, and move your path forward to where you are today.
I love it. So when you envision a success list, we've talked about these really great examples, but when you envision a success list, what are the components of your success list? How should you be thinking about this and break it up into the right chunks?
Well, the way my brain works is it's very, we'll call it linear. So I think about things in 1 year, 3 year, 5 year increments. And then once you figure out, okay, this is where I want to be in 5 years, let's say. So it's a truly long-term goal. And you figure out the gaps that are preventing you from getting that job today or tomorrow, that it's going to take 5 years for me to get there. And then figure out every year, what do I need to do this year? What do I need to do in 2025 so that I can be the CEO, or I can own my own business, or I can be an adjunct professor somewhere? What do I need to do in 2025 to be successful enough so I've moved it, let's say 20% forward? And then 2026, another 20%, et cetera, so that by 5 years, I've hit that mark and I'm successful. Once you know what you want to do in 2025, I would break it down even more by quarter or by month. And the first example I gave, let's say a master's degree, okay, those are semesters. It's pretty easy to break down how you need to achieve a master's degree based on the school schedule. If it is a goal like a C-suite job, you might need to talk to other people in the organization to find out, hey, what am I missing? What don't I have? What are the skills that I still need to work on? Maybe ask for special projects. And again, be very specific about what could I do this year to move me 20% forward so that in 5 years I could have that job. And be very strategic about what you need to do over the course of the next few months to achieve that goal this year. So again, you're well on your way to achieving your dream job, whatever that dream job is.
Yeah. So I've heard four kind of distinct components here within your success list. The first one is creating the big goal. What's your vision? Where do you want to go? What is your big goal? And then under that goal, you want to create 3 to 5 kind of smaller chunked tasks and make sure that there is a time attached to the vision and the task. So it's time bound. Everything that we do here is time bound. You're setting a time bound goal for yourself. And within your big task, you're breaking that up, you're chunking it down a little bit more, maybe by quarter, maybe by month, whatever works for you for that task. And then I think if we look at it in that way, in those components, then what we're doing is we're breaking that up into here's the big picture, the vision, and then here are the smaller things that I'm going to do to get towards that vision. But what if you don't know how to get there? What if my goal is to be the CEO of a Fortune 100 company? Okay, that's not going to happen. But if I want to be the CEO of a Fortune 100 company and I have no clue how to get there, what can I do to help map out this success list?
You can't do it alone. You've got to talk to other people. You need to have lunch with the CEO. If it's the CEO job that you want, see if you can't schedule lunch with the CEO. If it's a small organization, it shouldn't be that challenging to find time to have lunch with the CEO. It may not happen next week. It may take 6 months. Talk to other people in the organization and ask for feedback. Be in love with feedback. I know we've talked about feedback before, and sometimes we dread those annual reviews because we're worried what someone is going to say about us or that someone has judged us for the last year. But you know what? Sometimes that judgment is good. Sometimes we need to hear the good, the bad, and the ugly because that's how we're going to grow. If someone tells us you're not a good communicator, we don't see you in any C-suite role because you just don't do a good job of communicating. Well, let's work on that. What do I need to do to communicate better? Is it my written communication? Maybe I'm terrible at PowerPoints. There are a lot of classes you can take. There are organizations you can join. I've talked about Toastmasters before. If you're very shy in front of an audience, join Toastmasters. You're going to be a much better speaker by doing something like that. Or if you want to be better at writing, offer to write the company newsletter and offer to do it on a monthly basis. And then have someone review your articles, edit your articles, and then publish those articles. So find out from your manager, from even their manager, talk to as many leaders as you can and find out what you're missing and then try to fill those gaps in the best way that's available. And ask them, hey, how did you do it? Or if there's, let's say, there's a really good communicator in the organization, ask them to be your mentor. What did you do to be such a good presenter? How did you learn this skill? And ask them to be your mentor.
Yeah, so there's two things I think that stood out to me. And the first one was mentorship, but not to help you learn a skill, but mentorship to help you understand someone's path on how they got to where you
Yes.
want to be.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first thing I heard. The second thing that I heard is figure out what skills you need to build in order to get there and get coaching, get training, take a class, whatever that looks like for you to build that skill, or find someone who does it really well and ask them to mentor you on a specific skill. So, mentorship was actually the book ends here.
Mm-hmm.
Find a mentor that can explain to you how to get there and how they got there. And then you've got the training, the coaching, the research, the education that comes in the middle. And then also find a mentor who can support you in building the skills that you need to build to get to where you want to be and to get the experience and exposure.
Yes.
Love
Yes.
it. Very
Yes.
helpful. Also, I just want to remind you, since you're listening here today, in season 3, episode 6, we did a full episode on the power of mentorship. We will link that in our show notes. We also mentioned our last episode, Weeding Out the Noise, and we'll link that in the show notes too. So make sure you check out both of those very powerful episodes that have a huge presence in this conversation that we're having today. All right, Doris, that was my plug, my
Those
shameless
were
plug.
those were great episodes. I love
They were
those.
such great episodes. And since I just reintroduced Weeding Out the Noise, because we started with it and now
Yeah.
we're talking about it again because it was such a powerful episode, I'd like to talk to you for a few minutes around the priorities and how do you not get overwhelmed with your success list, and ask for like any tips or tricks that you could offer me as I start creating the success list.
Yeah, some of those tips we did talk about in weeding out the noise because it really does boil down to noise. If you set this big, hairy, audacious goal, as some people call it, BHAG, there is going to be noise that you've got to get rid of, distractions that are going to prevent you. And some of those distractions are important in your personal life. Those distractions may be your own children. And maybe you're going to put off that big, hairy, audacious goal because you're going to take care of your kids for the next 5 years, and then you're going to move forward with that goal. But sometimes you can set time aside. Maybe you can ask your children for permission to work on that goal. And they probably will support you. They're probably going to be your biggest fans and say, yes, mommy, I want you to succeed. And I want you to get that degree or that job or find that dream. And I bet they're going to help you. And you might have to say, I need 1 hour every evening so that I can focus on whatever it is that's going to get me to that goal.
Yeah.
So trying to weed out those distractions and going back to what we talked about just last week or on our last episode, the Eisenhower matrix and the Pomodoro technique. And the Pomodoro technique is simply just taking that focus time and not allowing any distractions. Your phone might need to be in another room, and you just have a timer with you and you spend 25 minutes per the Pomodoro technique or whatever time you have set aside, and you don't allow any distractions to take place during that time so you can focus solely on studying or writing or reading or learning whatever it is that's going to get you to accomplish the task that day or that week, so that in a year you have gotten to where you wanted to get that 20%. Let's say it's that 5 year goal and
Yeah.
you've accomplished 20%, 1 hour at a time, based on the permission that your kids gave you or the time that you have set aside to achieve those tasks.
I love it. And I love bringing it back to the Eisenhower matrix and figuring out what's urgent and important, and the
Mm-hmm.
Pomodoro technique where we set time, because I think both of those together are so powerful. And I love all the different use cases that we're sharing with those and how we're weaving it in here to the success list as well. So I think my next question and my biggest concern is, for me, I start stuff, but I don't always finish them,
Mm-hmm.
especially when it's for me. If it's for a client, oh, you can bet your bottom dollar I'm going to kick butt and I'm going to finish all of that. But if it's for me and it's personal for me, I'll deprioritize it. And sometimes I don't finish. I think about all of my crochet projects and knitting projects that are still whips, work in progress. They just
Mm-hmm.
sit there. How or what tools can we leverage so that we can maintain our momentum and keep going to meet our goals?
Well, using the crochet example is interesting. I'm going to ask another question back. Why is crocheting important to you?
It helps me relax. And I crochet hats and scarves for a charity that my friend Melissa started. And it is hats and scarves that go to folks in Maine who need them. So children and adults who struggle to get what they need.
So it's a double priority. How important are those children in Maine to you?
Well, I don't know them, so I've never met them, but I do love the idea of helping others and using my gifts to help others. So I think that's how I feel about that.
Mm-hmm. Have you set any goals with finished hats for those children?
No.
Do you think that if you said, you know what, my goal for 2025 is, and I don't know how long it takes you to crochet a hat. How long does it take you? I guess I should ask that. How long does it take you to crochet a hat?
That's a good question. I think for a hat and cowl, I've never really done a time study. I probably could do that.
Just
Um,
approximately
I
2 hours,
would say,
four
no, I would
hours,
say 8 hours.
8 hours. Okay. So, roughly, if you did it one night a week, roughly a week, if you did it, which I know you're not going to do that 1 hour a night every single day. But let's say you wanted to do 12 hats a year. And so you know that that's going to be
One hat a
one
month.
full day per month
Yep.
or 2 half days per month.
Sure.
Could you prioritize that type of time? So again, I'm making up, let's say 12 hats, one per month, 2 4 hour days per month. So 4 hours on a Saturday, 4 hours on a Sunday, one time per month. Could you set that kind of time aside?
If I break it down into there's 4 weeks in every month, if I need 8 hours, that's 2 hours per week. Oh, yeah, I certainly will crochet for 2 hours a week at some point during the week. So if I break it down even into those weekly chunks, it definitely helps me think about it a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
clearly, that it's easy to meet this goal of 12 hats if I do one a month, which means I need 2 hours a week.
That's how you break it down. That's how you can, whatever the goal is, whether it's crocheting hats, getting a master's degree, writing a book, that's how you break it down. You figure out where do you want to be at the end of the year, and then figure out what do you need to do each month and then each week to try to accomplish that.
I
I know
love
that,
it.
yeah, authors, I think it may have been Stephen King who wrote, his books are too scary for me, but he wrote a book on how to write books. And I think his discipline was something like 19,000 words a day. And he'll just sit down and he'll do it. And I know that that's a lot of authors do that, where it doesn't matter whether they have nothing to write about. They're going to sit in front of their typewriters or their computers and they're going to bang out 19,000 or whatever, 10,000, whatever the words are per day. And they've set that goal for themselves because they know they've got a deadline. And maybe
Yeah.
they even work with a publisher that says, you have to get me your book by X date. Therefore, let's work backwards and figure out how many words I need to write over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, so that I can get my manuscript to my publisher.
Interesting. Wow. Okay. I was thinking as we're talking about this success list, I know for me, there's a lot of things that could get in the way. There are a lot of risks. There are a lot of reasons that I can come up with to not go through with it or not finish. Let's go back to the crocheting hats. I know it's simple, it's easy,
No,
it's
but it's a
kind
good
of silly.
example.
Great
It's
example
a
for
great
everyone
example.
listening, right? I think the first thing that gets in my way is trying to do every hat and every cowl perfect and sometimes even ripping it out. So I could be 6 hours in and I'm like, nope, I made a mistake an hour ago. I'm taking it all out and now I'm starting over again. I know that can get in my way. What else can get in folks' way from really getting that success list moving forward?
I think a lot of it can be, is your dream really your dream? Is it really that important? Are those 12 hats really that important to you? If you have committed and you've told your friend, I 100% will get you 12 hats, I know you're going to get those 12 hats. I
Yeah.
know you well enough to get those 12 hats. And maybe you promised her by December 31, or let's say Christmas, let's say you promised her on December 20th, you're going to get her the 12 hats. And you still are two hats down and it's December 1. All of a sudden, that perfectionism might go out the window just a little bit because you know that you have to get it done and you're going to get it done. And anyone that is serious about the goals that they set, whatever that goal is, you're filling gaps so that you're ready to have that CEO job. Doesn't mean you're going to get that CEO job in 5 years, but you've now done everything in your power to get you to the place where you need to be to make yourself ready for that job. And if you said, I'm going to accomplish this in 2025, you will accomplish it. If you're serious about wanting that job, if you're serious about that dream job, and you know that it is going to take these three things this year, come hell or high water, you're going to get those three things.
Yeah.
And nothing's going to get in your way. If things get in your way and it's more it's for me, so I don't really need it, then that dream job wasn't as important as you thought it was. And until that dream job is absolutely 100% your priority, unless those 12 hats are 100% your priority because you made the commitment and you're going to do it, if it's just, I'll get as many hats done as I can, you'll get two or three hats done.
Okay. So this is what was so impactful for me right in this moment. If it is not crazy important for you, it should not go on your success list. It should be one of the other things
Yes.
that happen in your life. If it is not part of your future and your success, whatever that success looks like for you, don't put it on your success list. Don't do all of this work for something that you are not 1000% bought into and want to achieve.
Mm-hmm.
I love it.
Absolutely.
Man, that's great. Doris, we're about at time for today, but I'm wondering if there's one more thing that you wanted to tell us about success lists that we haven't talked about yet.
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really important to me, and I'm looking for my notes, trying to find where I wrote it down, doesn't matter, is an accountability partner. And that accountability partner can be your manager, it can be your best friend, it could be your spouse. You should never create a success list and keep it to yourself. Because that is another good way to answer your question in another way is if you just keep it to yourself so that it's truly just your own little wish list, it's also not going to succeed. You need to tell other people about it and you need for them to hold you accountable. So if you, again, we're going to use the crochet example, you told your friend, so you didn't just keep it to yourself. Oh, I'm going to get 12 hats done. No,
Right.
you told your friend, I'm going to get you 12 hats by December 20th so that you have those 12 hats ready to go for those kids for Christmas.
Yeah.
You may have to talk to her on a monthly basis. I've got two hats done. I've got three hats, four hats. So she holds you accountable. you have to have somebody hold you accountable. That's where a coach comes in. And I know you and I are both in that coaching field. And one of the things that we do best is we hold our clients accountable. That's why they hire us, is because they've set goals that they know that they probably aren't going to accomplish on their own. They
Yeah.
need to talk these goals through with someone else so that they can succeed. And so someone can hold them accountable and say, okay, you said you were going to do this last month. Did you do it? And if the answer is no, they're going to work really hard to get it done this next month. It's going to be number one priority. It's going to be in that urgent and important and that Eisenhower matrix because they know they want to get it done. And it just moved from, well, maybe it's important. No, it is important. It's important and urgent. Let's get it done this next month.
Okay. So I love that accountability partner, but I also know that you teach a whole workshop on this topic. You legit help people do this in a workshop form, and you actually can come to organizations via Zoom or even face to face and facilitate these workshops. So I know you're not going to plug that, but I want to plug it for you because I think it's really cool that you've put together this whole workshop called Beyond Boundaries, Discovering Your Passion in Work. And I think that that can help organizations to help their teams get engaged and grow, which benefits the organization. So I think that's wonderful. I also think it's great for small groups like networking groups or women's groups or men's groups to bring in someone like you to facilitate a workshop like this so that they're all goal setting and visioning together for what the future is. And then that group of people can now hold each other accountable. So going back to your last thing that you wanted to add, having those accountability buddies in the room is awesome when you're doing all of this planning and you're workshopping this with a group. So I know you probably wouldn't say much, but if you'd like to add anything, please do. I just wanted to make sure that I threw that in because I know our listeners are very interested in content like that.
Oh, thank you. Yes, that is one of my favorite workshops. I led that workshop for a number of years in my corporate life, and it was very well received. And it was all about trying to figure out where do you want to be in 5 years, but in a different frame of mind. Where are you today? Where would you, if you didn't have the job you had today, but with the company, what might it be? And this is where the CEO, your dream big.
Yeah.
And then look at it one third. Another way is if you had no boundaries at all and you wanted to be an astronaut, could you be
Oh
an
boy.
astronaut? Or just think about what you, going back to what we started with is what do you want to be when you grow up? So when you were
Yeah.
8 years old and you wanted to be a veterinarian or a chef or a firefighter, is that dream still out there? Is that something that you sometimes think about and wish that you weren't in accounting and you actually were in outer space? I don't know.
I love
Uh,
it. That's great. Thank you for giving us a little clarity on the workshop. I hope that our listeners take you up on that offer. And for you listeners, if you found this episode impactful for you, we are asking you to share it with a friend or go back and listen to Weeding Out the Noise if you haven't, or go back to season 3, episode 6, and listen to The Power of Mentorship. Both of those are great episodes that complement this episode so well. And we do love to talk to you. So you can find all of our links in the show notes. You can follow us on this journey as we delve into all things leadership. And we'd love a review. So if you have a moment, whatever platform you're on, if they accept reviews, we'd love that 5-star review. If you can add notes, that would be great too. It really helps us with the algorithm and reach more people. Also, every time you hit the share button and share an episode, it helps with the algorithm and we reach more people. Last thing, if you are interested in being a guest and you have an engaging topic, please reach out directly to us at leaderishpodcast@gmail.com or hit up our email addresses in the show notes with your desired topic and any information about how we can chat with you to see if you'd be a good fit. We'll follow up and we'll have those conversations. So just reach out and we would love to learn more about you. All right, Doris, I think that's about it for today. Cheers.
Cheers.